Hello, good morning and welcome to Joy News Desk. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlini. Coming up this morning, President Akufo-Addo appoints Justice Gertrude Tokono as new Chief Justice. How much of her do we know and what will she bring to the table? Following her successful confirmation, we'll tell you all about that this morning. Also, charge begins the initial assessment of petition alleging corruption in illegal mining by top government officials to determine whether it's a matter that falls within its mandate. More, as lawyers for the MP who filed this petition believe there's enough basis for a full-scale probe. And later today on Climate Focus, we'll tell you about a farmer in the Upper East region who is on a massive tree planting exercise to restore degraded lands. We have all of that plus business coming up shortly. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Do stay for details. President Akufo-Addo has nominated Justice Gertrude Tokono as the new Chief Justice. The President, in a letter to the Council of State on Tuesday, April 25, said her nomination is to avoid any vacuum that would occur following the retirement of the current Chief Justice, Kwesi Yeboah, on May 24. Justice Mrs. Tokono, per this nomination, will be vetted by Parliament and approve her nomination or otherwise. She will become the third female Chief Justice in the history of Ghana after Justices Georgina Theodora Wood and Sophia Ekufo. So who is she and what will she bring to the table upon her successful vetting and confirmation? Here's more in this report.
Gertrude Tokono hails from Winneba in the central region of Ghana. She was born on 11 September 1962 in Cape Coast. She attended Wesley Girls High School where she obtained her ordinary level certificate and at Chimoto School for her advanced level certificate. She's an alumnus of the University of Ghana and graduated from the Ghana School of Law in 1986. In 2001, Gertrude Tokono obtained a postgraduate diploma in international law and organization from the International Institute of Social Studies, part of Erasmus University in the Netherlands. In 2011, she graduated from the Golden State University, USA with an LLM in intellectual property law. Justice Tokono began her legal career as a volunteer at the FIDA Legal Aid Service and did an internship with Nabarro Nathanson in London. She later joined the Fugger & Co law firm in Accra as an associate legal practitioner. In 1994, she became a director at the same firm. In January 1997, she co-founded Sozo Law Consult, where she worked as managing partner until the 14th of May 2004, when she was appointed as Justice of the High Court of Ghana. She worked as a High Court judge until October 2012, when she was elevated to the Court of Appeal. Justice Tokono was subsequently nominated to the Supreme Court of Ghana in November 2019 and sworn into office on 17th December 2019. Justice Tokono has held several leadership roles in the judicial service. In her work as chairperson of the E-Justice Committee, she's led the planning of automation of all levels of courts, procurement, and incorporation of the use of electronic resources and software in the work of the judicial service. She's also served as the supervising judge of commercial courts since 2013, where she sets the agenda for and chaired meetings and programs of the Users Committee of the Commercial Courts.
We can now speak with former Attorney General Ayikwe Otu, who will be telling us more on what Justice Tokono brings to the table. I'm grateful for your time, sir, this morning. Are you surprised that Justice Tokono has been appointed as Chief Justice?
Well, thank you for having me. I wouldn't say that I'm surprised. The point is that all the distinguished justices of the Supreme Court, and even those office outside the Supreme Court can be nominated to take over that enviable position. What is important is qualification. Are you qualified in terms of the Constitution to hold that office? Having satisfied the initial qualification, the next thing is, what is your knowledge of the law, which is not even as important as your integrity. Do you have that integrity to dispense justice without fear or favor, ill will or affliction? These are the qualifications that we'll be looking out for. So, for the president to have nominated it, just as he could have nominated any other person, I think that it is kudos to her, and we expect that she should distinguish herself while she is there as the Chief Justice. Then it's a lot of administrative work that we do. There are a lot of complaints about judges. One of the areas that worries some of us, the senior practitioners, is the corruption and rumors of corruption. These should not be made rewarding. Now, when there is evidence of corruption, she must be able to put her foot down, go down into it, and remove any judge who does not merit to sit wherever he's sitting. Because at the end of the day, it is a law that we have to apply to the facts of each case and not going behind the scenes to go see people so you can get whatever it is that you want. I'm just making general observations. And remember that it is not strange because we saw the Hannah states and we also saw what happened in those states regarding some of our justices. So I will urge us to make it a fight. Make corruption unrewarding on the bench. The other issue that I would like to look at is perjury. When we were young, parents used to tell us that, hey, when you go anywhere near the court, be careful, because the least thing you'll be sent to jail. Now we grew up to learn that if you went to court, took an oath and told lies, that is when you would be punished for perjury. These things have, been so lax that people just take things for granted and go to court where either on the Bible or Quran or even according to their own religious beliefs and just tell lies from beginning to the end. And nobody is held accountable for perjury. One other critical issue is adjournment. There are so many adjournments that are granted. In my view, once there is evidence that the other side has been set and the people have decided to stay away, I don't see why a judge will order that go and serve them again with hearing notice. And you go to court, a very simple application can take months because one person refuses to come to court and there's evidence he has been served and nothing is happening. So let me, by way of starter, say that I will congratulate her first on what the nomination. Hope that she will go through the vetting approach. This is not the first time as a Supreme Court judge. She's already gone through parliamentary vetting. And then, if she calls on some of us, so she should be able to assist her greatly in making her work, more acceptable to everybody. I mean, there are things, the directives that sometimes the Chief Justices issue. And so when the matter becomes everyday concern for everybody, as a Chief Justice, you can always issue a directive principle on how, a judicial directive on how the issue should be dealt with and all that. So that is what I say for that. As far as integrity is concerned, I have no evidence whatsoever that anybody has complained about their work. And judicial equanimity is also good. She doesn't intimidate lawyers, young lawyers who appear before her or anything. So I think she has all that it takes. It now, the ball is now in your court, in a court to deliver. So that's what I'm saying from that.
norms are equal to if you've appeared before her as a Supreme Court judge. But as a lawyer, what can you say about her personality? I mean, who is she? What kind of a person is Justice Tokono?
Well, both as a lawyer and a judge, I think she has held herself well. Some of us were known to be legal brawlers. That when we get into our element, sometimes we can, be driven by passion and do things. But she's not that type. I'm not aware that I've seen her having any contest or having any difficulty, situations with anybody. She flew. She flowed seamlessly, I remember when I was the secretary of the bar or so, there was this sharpening scholarship or something that we received from the UK, and I put up that notice, and she applied and won, and went abroad for that course. I've forgotten, but I know it should be somewhere in her field. So I've known her, Israel, she was called to the bar in 86, I was called to the bar in 81. So we were already there when she came. And so we've known her. She's okay by our standard. She's okay by our standard.
In terms of legal education and all the issues we've had to deal with, I mean, what are your expectations of her as a Chief Justice?
Well, as lawyers, judges, we follow precedent. So I'm sure that the precedents will be there to guide her. It is for her to decide on her own whether she wants to follow the precedent or break away from the precedent. But they are there. I mean, the headache that everybody has is how do people get entrance into the law school. And so the former Chief Justices came out with the idea of an independent legal board, examinations board. So they will set the examinations and mark, and if you pass, you'll be taken. I remember that some of us had to kick against the interview aspect because it didn't make one sense. You pass an exam, then you go for an interview, say you have failed. What question did you ask? Did they ask who was your father? Or who is your father? What work does he do? And they say you have failed. It doesn't make sense. So after some agitation, they decide to, take it out. Now it is the numbers. I have advocated with others. Now look, let the law faculty handle the professional courses. And then let everybody who thinks is qualified write only one bar finals, which they do abroad. Because we have grading, we have Lincoln thing, we have the other in. You go and do all you want to do in your in. If you say you are ready, come and write only one bar final. If you pass, you'll be called to the bar. Now we are having difficulty because we are being told that the faculties do not have what it takes to teach the professional course. And so you have a lot of pressure coming in. She would definitely have to deal with that issue as well because people keep complaining and asking for more space. We were told that they were going to, they cut a sword to build a new law school. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know what had happened to that sword cutting ceremony and all that. So surely she's going to have difficulties also with that. It is not a personal problem. I mean, she will do what she can, like Eni Yeboah, Georgina Wood, and all those before her try to do.
I'm grateful for your time. Ikwe to his former Attorney General. He's been speaking about the new Chief Justice, Justice Tokono. Let's get on to other stories. Chief Shraj has commenced an initial assessment of a petition submitted by a Member of Parliament for South Dai calling for an investigation into allegations of corruption against top government officials and allies involved in illegal mining. The petition was based on a 37-page document authored by the former chairman of the Interministerial Committee of Illegal Mining, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng. Here's the Commissioner of Shraj, Joseph Withal.
We received it and we are studying it. The next steps will be to acknowledge it tomorrow, and then we'll determine whether by an interim assessment or an initial assessment, whether the allegations that have been made really trigger the mandates of the Commission.
And how do you come to making that judgment on whether or not to proceed or just terminate it at the initial stage?
It depends on what is in the petition and what has been attached as part of the documents which were brought in by the petition. After studying them, we may undertake a preliminary investigation. We may even invite the lawyer for further and better particulars in respect of aspects of the petition. When we are satisfied that clear allegations have been made which trigger any of the mandates of the Commission, we would then proceed to determine who are the respondents in this particular case. Because, the report is quite broad, touches so many people, and so the ones who are germane will certainly be the ones we will look for. And then we would request them to make any comments that they have, of course, as natural justice will require. And then the next steps will be determined by the procedures of the Commission.
And just a bit on the strategies on Monday, because this has to do with illegal mining in Galamsey and people's alleged involvement in largely allegations of destruction of the environment. What would you tell those who say, does this necessarily fall within the purview of Straj?
Well, I can give you a general answer because it's a matter that we're yet to go into. But as a matter of rights, the environmental rights exist. They are rights by themselves, which public officers and public institutions owe to the people of Ghana. And so to the extent that fiduciary relationships have been established between public officials in terms of their role in safeguarding the environment, if allegations have been made, those allegations certainly will be triggering the human rights mandate. But as I said, I'm speaking generally, if it comes to the petition, we'll look at the specifics of the petition and to what extent they trigger which aspects of the human rights mandate in respect of the environment.
Does the fact that this is such a high-profile matter that went before the president involves, ministers, a former one who altered it, was a chair of a committee the president himself set up, does it change anything? Does it change your approach? Does it expedite it further? Does it add extra spice to your work that you're doing?
This is a constitutional body. We will perform our mandate as required of us by the Constitution. Whether the matter came before the president or not does not necessarily add any more weight or reduce the weight on it.
And any timelines you expect for this to fall within?
Looking at the quantum, the sheer size of the petition and the accompanying documents, and the possibility that we'll be getting back to the lawyers, if any, and then the preliminary investigation, I cannot put my hand on it. But I think, given the public interest that Ghanaians have over this protracted matter, we would, within the means available to the Commission, give it the deserved attention that this particular Galamsey issues, which have bedeviled the public space, deserve.
Meanwhile, the lawyer representing the MP, Roxanne Nelson Dafia-Makpo, lawyer Ni Kpakpo Samoa Ado, argues the report contains sufficient evidence to justify a full-scale investigation.
So just a few minutes to 1 p.m., lawyers for South Dai MP, Dafia-Makpo, came to Straj to present a petition here. I have the lawyer here. Let me ask him just a few questions that have come out of it. So we have seen the reports that you have made reference to, that you are trying to petition Straj to look through. Correct. But from what we have seen from the presidency in itself, the presidency says this, at best, this is a catalogue of personal grievances. I mean, why do you think there's substance in this report for which you are petitioning Straj?
And this is even why it is even a perfect time for us to come to Straj, because clearly the president has given a signal that he's not interested in the report. We think that as a former minister of environment, he is a man of stature. Professor Boate is not just any ordinary person. And the allegations he makes are not bare allegations. These are allegations that he has supported with facts, letters, And in fact, in his other 2 responses he made, he added more facts, more letters. And so this is somebody that we believe, given the proper forum, independent forum, where he knows he has no fear for his life and he knows he will be protected, which Shraj has the mandate to do, I'm sure he will even give us more. We cannot brush this under the carpet. Unfortunately, we cannot agree with the president that this is something that can be brushed under the carpet. We refuse to brush it under the carpet because this is not an issue that is simply one for us to just take for granted. This is not one of the things that you, as they say, he can clear. This is a matter that borders on life and death. This is a matter that touches our water bodies. This is a matter that touches on the economic rights of the people that are in those areas affected. Farming, for example. All those areas are complaining about farming issues. The fact that their farming and cash crops are being destroyed. The pollution of the soil, the pollution of the water bodies. These are human rights matters. And so I'm sorry. But if the president thinks that this is hearsay, we disagree with him. That is why we've come to the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, and we expect to get justice.
Again, you haven't spoken to the part about whether you think it has substance. The presidency again says that
obviously,
there's no evidence in it that substantiates some of the allegations he made.
It is not for the president to make that determination. He has looked at the report and he says that, in his opinion, he doesn't see any merit in it, and that he talked about issues of transmission of the report and how the report should have been. We don't care about that. We care about the substance in the allegations. There are serious allegations, and we believe that the Shraj will bear it out. We have no personal grievance against anybody, but the point is this: the Honorable Member of Parliament has oversight responsibility. He has seen the report. He believes that the report contains enough basis for investigations, and luckily, the architecture of our constitution has made it clear that when it comes to allegations of corruption, abuse of public office, and human rights violations, it is not the presidency that we go to. It's a Shraj that we come to. And that is why we are here.
Now, how soon do you expect something meaningful to come out of this petition?
Soon. We have an acknowledgement letter we expect from the Shraj tomorrow. We intend to be here every week. And so every week you will find me here, following up, asking questions, because we expect public hearings to begin. All we have is to meet the threshold of have enough to be able to investigate it. When Shraj begins to write to us and deal with the matters, we will make this a public issue. This matter is not going to go away. If anybody for any moment thinks that this matter is going to go away, it's a lie. You and I have a responsibility. Imagine you wake up one day, you cannot find drinking water. How would it be for you? We cannot all afford to buy water. We all cannot afford to have our soils destroyed. We all cannot afford to fly out whenever we are hungry, or whenever we need water, whenever we need medical attention. Ghana is all that we have, and so we have a responsibility to protect it. Not just for us, for the future generations as well.
But what is the interest of your client? This is something that we've heard from Ato, forcing from Parliament that is going to go to Parliament. So what's the personal interest of your client?
The parliamentary group has Parliament. If Parliament also wants to exercise oversight, so be it.
Well, the Ghana Small Scale Miners Association shares this view on the need for a probe and believes only this can win the trust of citizens in the fight against illegal mining. The National Democratic Congress has meanwhile served notice of formally petitioning Parliament and the Office of the Special Prosecutor to initiate a full-scale investigation into the Al Jazeera Gold Mafia documentary as it relates to Ghana and the Galamsey report of Professor Frimpong Boateng. Let's move on to other stories. Caterers under the school feeding program say they will not yield to intimidation to resume work. For about 3 weeks, the caterers have withdrawn their services in demand for payment of arrears and an increase of the cooking grant per child from 97 pesewas to 3 cedis. They want leadership of the program to desist from issuing threats in addressing their challenges. Nana Ojima has more.
Representatives of caterers from other regions joined those in Ashanti for the press conference. About a week before the group withdrew their services, they received the first term payment of the same year, an amount they say does not cover the full term. Most caterers say they are being chased by the suppliers and banks where they secured loans for the contract. They are unwilling to return to cooking for the pupils.
Mrs. Kwashiga is provoking us that this kind of job is a sacrificial job and is the work of God. And we want to tell her that God hasn't called us to come and preach to the children. And we cannot go and borrow to come and cook for the children for free. We are fed up. We want our money and we want an increment. And they should also stop telling the caterers that we don't have any right to talk. We want to tell her that we have every right because we all work for the government to come to power. And so we need our money. We need it. Without the money, we are not going back to cook.
Many of the caterers were contracted to serve hot meals in schools in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. Some of the caterers are still owed by the government. She says, we were contracted to cook for the pupils in junior high school within the COVID-19 era. We did the work satisfactorily. We were made to add an egg to every meal. To date, some of us haven't been paid. Meanwhile, the caterers are pointing to some anomalies in the school feeding program and have called for an audit.
There are a lot of ghost names, ghost schools. That ghost schools, we want you to go deeper into it and bring that evidence out, because there are kululu over there. Ghost names, thousands of ghost names. They should stop doing that. They are causing financial loss to the state. We are telling them.
Deductions, the illegal deduction by the secretariat. Madam is my head of school. She monitors me what I do every day. And she forwarded the information to Accra. Now Accra says that I did not cook. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Our caterers are suffering, and it has a serious political consequences for the government if they will not clean up the secretariat. Over 11,000 caterers are suffering, and the government says because of one person or two people at the secretariat, they don't care. Government will live to regret if they don't address this issue urgently.
For JoyNews, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
All 7 certified physician assistants arrested by police for protesting at the Ministry of Health premises have been granted bail. The nurses were at the ministry to speak against their delayed postings after 5 years of finishing school, but were sacked from the premises of the ministry while their leaders were arrested by the police. One of their leaders, who managed to escape, Benis Obu, says the group will return for an even more massive protest if the police fails to release them. Here's a wrap of the outcome of their protest from yesterday.
These physician assistants, numbering over 50, came here as early as 9 a.m. in their numbers. They came from different regions with the main aim of getting or putting pressure on the Ministry of Health to absorb them. They say since 2018, the portal has been closed, and after completing school, life has been a hell for them. And that is why they are left with no reason than to come and picket, to show or to send a signal that they are not happy about the situation and that the health ministry should do something about it. But to their dismay, 3 of their colleagues were arrested and sent to the police, and the police have told them to disperse, else they will exert brute force on them. They are not quite happy about how they have been treated, and they think that the police could have acted more professional than they did.
But it's very sad because we are living in a country where police feels they can use their guns to intimidate health professionals. It is very pathetic because if the police wanted to communicate something to us, they could have done it in a more professional way than trying to use their guns to intimidate us.
Very unfortunate, totally unfortunate. We are Ghanaians, and it is our right to picket. It is our right to demonstrate if things are not going on well. And so if the ordinary physician assistant who has qualified to practice medicine and dentistry in Ghana, and after 5 years of qualification is still at home, not doing anything, is coming to peacefully demonstrate and picket, and then the police says that we should leave and as a matter of fact arrested our leaders, then it's very unfortunate.
I would say I'm not traumatized. I'm ready for this. Yes, I already said this is my future. My brother, I know when they are sick, they won't go to the health center. When they are sick, they'll go to the regional hospital, they'll go to the district hospital. But if you have any of your relatives at the health center, will you do this to them? Will you do this to them?
I come from the Volta region, and I'm here representing my people in the Volta region. I can say that clearly these are machinations to intimidate the very people of the physician assistant fraternity who are seeking a common or a particular thing, employment.
I'm very, very disappointed. We are professionals. We have come here. We are picketing. We haven't destroyed anything. We haven't behaved in any way that somebody will say our behavior is bad. But all of a sudden, the police invited our leaders, arrested them, went and locked them at the police station, and they have come to disperse us and all that. And we don't know why.
But the physician assistants were able to present a petition to the Ministry of Health containing their grievances, and they expect that actions should be expedited. The reason they waited outside had to do with the fact that they wanted a representative from the Ministry of Health to come and talk to them, give them that assurance that they will be enrolled into the system, or the portal will be open for them to get employed. However, that wasn't the situation, but they had the police coming to sack them from the premises of the Ministry of Health. I had to even walk away to a distance in order to be able to talk to them, a reason we are not in front of the Ministry of Health, because the police say they are not going to allow anybody near the premises. Reporting for JoyNews, Samuel Mbura, Ministry of Health, Accra.
Meanwhile, the group's parent body, Ghana Physician Assistants Association, has thrown its weight behind the protesters. In a statement signed by its national president, Peter Akudogu Ayamba, he called for the immediate release of the protesters that were arrested. NDC managed to bridge more than a 10,000 vote gap between itself and the NPP in 2016 to less than 2,000 in the last elections. Actor John Domelo, who led the NDC to battle the 2020 elections, is facing fierce competition from fellow actors Fred Nyama and lawyer Moses Befi Echampon. The process leading up to the May 13 election has been met with allegations of betrayal and efforts to protect John Domelo. Kwekwa Sante of our political desk has more.
Following what many described as an outstanding performance in 2020, John Domelo expected that he will run again on the ticket of the NDC unopposed, but he's facing fierce opposition from a person he considers a friend and fellow actor Fred Nyama. John Domelo also has to contend with fast-rising politician and lawyer Moses Befi Echampon. But even before the party's nomination were open and closed at the time, John Domelo and Fred Nyama were engaged in a media war, accusing each other of betrayal. The NDC made significant inroads in the Ayawaso West Wogan constituency in the last general election and will be hoping to build on that in a bid to wrestle the seat from Deputy Majority Whip Lydia Alhassan. Moses Befi Echampon, who is seeking to lead the NDC in that constituency, is alleging a plot to have John Domelo run unopposed. He insists he is confident he will win the primaries and win the seat for the NDC.
It's inappropriate, and it is surprising that the party, after we successfully filing our nomination forms, after making the required payments, after going through all the necessary procedures, would surprisingly make a U-turn that actor John Domelo should be the only person to be vetted in Ayawaso West Wagon. I mean, it's surprising because just this Monday, when that was the date we were supposed to be vetted, we had a meeting with the regional chairperson of the NDC, right, of the party. And he stated that because of some issues that were popping up regarding the online filing, he had received a directive from the national chairman that Ayawaso West Wagon, the vetting should be postponed until they clarified those technicalities.
This was on Monday.
This was on Monday.
And the exercise was rescheduled, per our checks, to the next day.
No, indefinitely. It was
indefinitely.
On Monday.
Okay, all right.
It was indefinitely.
Right, okay.
So we're hoping that we will get the new dates from the party. And just for me to surprisingly hear that actor John Dumelo has been cleared to be vetted.
What issues did the regional executives, or by extension the vetting committee, what issues did they raise with your nomination forms, for instance, as a candidate?
You see, what is shocking is that we have not even met the vetting committee yet. So the appropriate procedure will be that allow us to meet the vetting committee, and then the vetting committee will look at the issues, whether or not we were able to successfully file. If we were able to successfully file, then they will go into the merits of whether or not one even qualifies to contest. So we have not even met the vetting panel yet. And then we received a message first from the regional chairperson, and then later it was confirmed in the evening by the vetting committee that Ayawaso has been postponed. So we have not even...
Okay, so there was no meeting at all?
So there was no meeting
So this is just your meeting with the regional chairperson?
This was just a meeting with the regional chairperson.
Did you allow for the regional chairperson to say, okay, well, I'm relaying the issues to the national headquarters. Once that's resolved, we'll get you feedback?
So the meeting was for the regional chairperson to convey a message to us, a message he received from him. He received from the national chairman. So he conveyed a message to us that because of the technicalities, the issues revolving the filing of nominations and other peculiar issues within Ayawaso West, they had to postpone the vetting of Ayawaso.
The party is yet to even hold vetting in the constituency after Moses Achampon and Fred Nyama faced challenges in filing their nominations online, which has stagnated the election process in that constituency with less than 3 weeks to the NDC scheduled primaries. Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustafa Gbandi, is parrying away suggestions it is seeking to give John Dumelo an unfair advantage.
National Executive Committee or the party at any level is not doing anything to impose a candidate on a constituency, and that will not be allowed to stand if even there's that case at any part of the country.
The Ayawaso West Wogan constituency was created during the 1996 election, and over the course of the last 6 elections has been won only once. That is the 1996 election by the NDC, with the NPP winning the last 5. The NDC says it is doing all it can to win this seat this time. For JoyNews, Kweku Asante. Following what
You know where to stay on May 13 for all the sights and sounds from the National Delegates Congress of the NDC. It's your election headquarters. Let's move on to other stories. The Regreening Africa project seeks to promote simple land restoration practices to help improve livelihoods, food security, and resilience to climate change for smallholder farmers. Implemented by World Vision Ghana in the northern part of the country, it has helped many peasant farmers to restore their degraded lands and earn more income from their farming activities. For our climate focus today, Upper East correspondent Albert Story speaks to Sheikh Ahmed Bashir, a beneficiary of the Regreening Africa project.
Over the years, severe and prolonged dry seasons, overgrazing, rampant bushfires, and the indiscriminate felling of trees have impacted negatively on the weather and climate in many parts of Ghana. This has also translated to an increased decline in forest cover, loss of indigenous biodiversity, and decreased soil fertility. It is even more serious in the northern parts of Ghana, where the climate is harsher due to fewer tree populations. The poor peasant farmers like Sheikh Ahmed Bashiru here are having to bear the brunt of the unfavorable weather pattern. Bashiru is a peasant farmer in the Warianga community in the Garo district of the Upper East region. He is passionate about farming and growing trees. Bashiru grows vegetables such as onions, pepper, garden eggs and tomatoes in the dry season for sale. He also raises seedlings for sale.
Tree growing and then dry seasoning gardening. That is what I've been doing all my life. Based on the work I'm doing here and with the help of World Vision supporting me with funds and other materials such as poly bags that I need to raise my seedling, I have been able to employ 7 workers consisting of 4 women and 7 men who also help me here to raise the seedlings. I pay them.
Sheikh Ahmed Bashiru is a beneficiary of the Re-Greening Africa project being implemented by World Vision Ghana in the Garu, Timpani, and Boku West districts. Before the arrival of the Re-Greening Africa project to the Warianga community, Bashiru's land had almost lost its fertility and he faced many difficulties in his farming activities. So the project supported him grow economic trees such as mangoes and cashew on his 1 hectare land.
Before the intervention of World Vision, I had a lot of challenges. I didn't have enough seedlings to plant. When I do my gardens, because there's no protection, animal comes in and then they destroy them. But with the support of World Vision, I got fencing material, and World Vision has supported me with 7 different kind of tree seedlings consisting of mahogany, cashew, kapok, moringa, mangoes, and these ones I have planted them on the field.
Today, he says, he and his family are economically empowered.
These trees are now bearing fruits, which I harvest to sell and also use the seeds to raise seedlings. These seedlings, World Vision comes to buy to distribute to other farmers. I also sell some to people who are interested. I am getting a lot of money, which is helping me to take care of my children in their education. I'm also able to take care of the family needs in terms of their feeding and then hospital bills.
The Re-Greening Africa project seeks to promote land restoration practices to help improve livelihoods, food security, and resilience to climate change for smallholder farmers in the Garu, Timpani, and Boku West districts of the Upper East region, as well as the Mion district of the Northern region. It is a European-funded project being implemented in African countries. Joshua Adumbiri is a World Vision Project Officer on the Re-Greening Africa project.
So the Re-Greening Africa project started in the year 2017 and it has ended in 2023. The project has been very keen on restoring degraded lands in the communities. So apart from these community nursery gardeners who are helping raise seedlings for us to distribute freely to community members, they are also raising these seedlings and selling them out, which they make money to earn a living from it. We have also been able to bring on board our local partners. We have the Department of Food and Agriculture, the National Disaster Management, we have the Ghana Education Service, the Ministry of Health, and we have come together to form a formidable team who are championing these works at the community level. We are doing this for the sake of sustainability.
For Joy News, Albert Sori, Warianga, Garu District.
We're still live on JoyNews Desk. We'll take a break. When we return, there's business.
Hi, welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The Chief Executive of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Benonita Bismarck, has indicated that the high cost of transporting goods is negatively affecting the competitiveness of businesses in the country. At the opening of a union of the Africa Shippers Council on Trade and Transit, she mentioned that the high cost of transporting goods is impacting businesses, leading to high cost of doing business. Here's more in this report.
The Ghana Shippers Authority created the Union of Africa Shippers to deliberate on ways to reduce the cost of transporting goods. The council consists of 19 countries from West and Central Africa. Speaking in an interview, Chief Executive of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Benonita Bismarck, said the high cost of transportation is limiting the full potential of businesses.
The critical role played by international trade and economic development is well known by all of us, particularly as a driver of economic growth and prosperity for the people of our dear continent. However, the transportation cost in the shipment of this international cargo in Africa has become prohibitive and forms a significant proportion of the cost of imports and exports. This development impacts negatively on the competitiveness of African businesses on the global market scene. The World Bank estimates the transport cost in sub-Saharan Africa averages 50% higher than other regions in the world, forming a significant proportion of the overall cost of goods. The high transport costs in Africa stems from inefficient supply chains, poor transport infrastructure and networks, lack of economies of scale, and inadequate regulatory frameworks, among others. Unfortunately, it is our shippers who have to bear the brunt of these challenges. The multiplier effect is the consistent rise in the general prices of goods and services and its attendant adverse effects of stagnated economic growth.
Head of Research, Monitoring and Evaluation at the Ghana Shippers Authority, Emmanuel Paku, added that the council will come up with recommendations to address challenges associated with transporting goods in Africa.
It has been about 3 years since the world was hit with the COVID pandemic, and the global economy and the international maritime transport are still recovering from its devastating impact. Global supply chains were hardest hit, with freight rates going through the roof. The post-COVID pandemic recovery has been very slow, and as we speak, we are still not at the pre-pandemic levels yet. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, that is why I believe that the call to action initiated by the UAC through the work of the Committee of Experts who consolidate the efforts of countries within West and Central Africa to bring about cost effectiveness, improve service delivery, transparency, and efficiency in the shipping sector, thereby making our ports and our shippers more competitive.
Now, the Ghana Institute of Procurement and Supply has inducted new members and fellows into the institution. Guest speaker at the ceremony, Dr. Eric Odo-Osai, called for the passage of the procurement bill. This he believes will protect the public purse and save the country monies lost through procurement infractions. Here's more.
The Ghana Institute of Procurement and Supply is the governing body of procurement professionals in Ghana. The association held an induction ceremony to usher in over 100 new members, 9 fellows, 2 honorary fellows, and 1 distinguished fellow. Speaking at the ceremony, Director General of the Internal Audit Agency, Dr. Eric Odo-Osai, said the passage of the procurement bill could save the country monies lost through procurement infractions.
Out of over 8.6 billion Ghana cedis infractions identified by the Auditor General in his 2021 audit report on the performance of 6 major sectors of the Ghanaian economy, over 600 million cedis, representing 3.24%, arose out of avoidable procurement, stores, and contract irregularities. If we were to have professionals, and this, I am not saying we don't have professionals, but I'm talking about regulation. If we were to have an institute established by an act of parliament, regulating professionals, providing guidance, helping them to provide the needed on-the-spot advisory services, we could have saved 600 million cedis.
The president of the Ghana Institute of Procurement and Supply, Simon Annan, called on procurement professionals to ensure the highest ethical standards and pledged the Institute's commitment to sanitize the industry.
The people who are practicing procurement as we speak now don't have any backing, any legal backing. I mean, if you go into an organization and you realize that the accountants are there because they have a legal backing, and any accountant who flout the code of ethics within the space is dealt with. Now, in terms of procurement, there is a Procurement Act which has sanctions, but the point beyond that, how do we manage the professionals who are practicing procurement to be able to do it well? And we think that the bill is there to ensure that procurement is done properly, and our people conform to the ethical standard of the Institute.
Celestine Jani, the Executive Secretary of the Institute, called for deepened collaborations with government and other relevant institutions to guarantee growth of the procurement industry.
So it's very important that we champion and come to support the GIPS, the Ghana Institute of Procurement and Supply, at this point. Government should come and support us. We are asking all stakeholders, relevant stakeholders. You see a lot of partnerships going on because what we are seeking to do, our mission really is to build an institute that's strong enough to champion ethical procurement.
Some of the honorary and distinguished fellows include former Minister of Education, Professor Ameyao Ekumfi, Professor Douglas Boateng, and Colonel Joshua Agbotui.
All right, and that's it for business. Handing you back to Aisha.
News desk this morning. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more of the news and all the developing stories. See you again at 12.